Hey folks, we are starting our second foray into the Trips virtual world here. Welcome to Mystery Tube, and we've got Marq Spusta, we got Matt Leunig, and John Howard here, and we're just going to talk. We're going to talk about posters and art and drawing and what life is like. And in case you guys are wondering what's been going on with Trips, we are very much alive. We're trying to do the best we can with this quarantine situation, and obviously our live shows in the Bay Area are off for this year. We're just in a holding pattern like everybody else to see what's going on till next year. But in the meantime, we're bringing you something we hope you guys are really going to like and stay involved in the poster world, and maybe even broaden it for you by using this format to do something we've never been able to do before and connect you with something you guys haven't had access to before. So welcome, guys, and let's talk about art. Let's talk about what you guys are doing, what you're working on, what you've been doing. Maybe when Mark gets back here.
Don't be scared.
Why didn't you think of that before we left?
There's noise in the other room and my family's gone, but I don't know. I've got a little chihuahua. I don't know what he's getting into. Leftover lunch, something. We'll let him have it.
So guys, what's going on? Matt, good to see you all the way from Atlanta. I know everything's weird there this week.
Yeah, we seem to be the center of a lot of news lately, especially within the last couple days. I'm kind of like checking the ticker as we speak every
right.
couple minutes. But yeah, it's been very weird. I'm moving from California to Atlanta was kind of a shift, and having Georgia kind of be blue, not to announce my preference, but like would be interesting. So yeah, I mean, with everything during COVID, Atlanta has kind of been in the news a little too much. So
yeah. Well, you're home and you work at home. What's how did life change for you when all this happened and band tours got canceled and livelihood?
Well, it's funny. My wife and I have always kind of, within the last couple of years, we've always worked from home. So in the beginning, not too much had actually changed, except we had a 3-year-old in the house all the time. So that kind of killed any progress of any work for a while. And obviously, there was a pretty specific end to all music and live music. But luckily, I do find myself lucky because I did have my finger in some other kind of fields of illustration, specifically packaging for beer, coffee, cannabis, whatever people put in their mouth. And that kind of kept me afloat for a good while. I kind of put my feelers out there trying to do some art prints or, puzzles or, making swag and just kind of seeing what people were interested in. But people were still buying posters every week, old prints and stuff like that. So I felt very lucky with that. But it's been nice, I've felt within the last, 2 to 3 weeks, I've had bands reach out, and I've felt the music world is kind of figuring out their way to progress forward with doing live shows, whether it's drive-ins, online events, just kind of like generalized band swag. I've gotten more music stuff within the last 2 weeks. And that's a good sign.
Actual gig posters?
Gig posters, like I said, drive-in stuff. I just did one for the Disco Biscuits, which was a Halloween show. I actually did a poster that released on the same day as a Spusta poster with you for Widespread. They were putting out their single, and actually they wanted to kind of commemorate the tour that could have been. The Lost Tour, and it was
Wait,
called...
did you not have that designed previously in some way for them as a tour poster?
No, that was an after the fact thing.
Oh.
Yeah,
Wow.
so they approached and it was kind of like a what could have been type tour.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that was like fully a thought and not kind of a, let's bring back this poster. That's cool.
Yeah.
They did it that way. There's so much you said I want to jump off of, but hey, we missed you in California, Matt. But man, I got to commend people like you going back to like, I'm from Wisconsin, so I feel very like-minded here in the Bay Area, and I love it. But I commend you for going back to Georgia and, voting there and being there and being a freak there. And
my wife is from here, and this was a big kind of, other than enjoying the space that you guys do not have, my wife kind of went back to where she's from, and like, I know it's interesting. It's, you're surrounded. The Bay Area is a bubble in a sense, for better or for worse. It comes with its positives and its negatives, and being out for 2 years has been very eye-opening. Atlanta is very much like in Austin, where you're in the middle of blue in the middle of red, and it's been interesting. And like I said, we're just by within the last couple of days, it's a very impactful hub. So
yeah, those numbers are getting so close. You may actually have tipped the scale by moving there. We have a debt of gratitude.
If we win by 2, we'll know who did it.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, I know. I try to make it back to the Bay Area. I go to trips as much. That's a big loss. That trips was supposed to be last week, 2 weeks ago.
Supposed to be in October. That year.
That was special. That was kind of like the re-energizing every year. It was like, no matter, even if I was living in the Bay Area, like I still didn't, go out much, but like just being around other people, other poster artists and like people who were in that world. It was a day of energizing that kind of fed you for the rest of the year. So I'll definitely miss that.
Did you hook up with a good printer there?
I did. I think, John, you're a Monolith guy.
Yeah.
So yeah, we all shared a printer out in Oakland, Alameda, and I worked with them since the whole time I was out there. So like 12 years, 13 years. And it definitely was a situation of like, you don't know what you got till it's gone. And I did a lot of kind of testing out some printers here and there. And I found one here in Atlanta that just coincidentally kind of started up around the time that I moved here. And I actually got an outside studio right next to them. So we're kind of in this nice conjunction where we work together. And he's been printing a lot of my recent stuff, the widespread stuff this week and Disco Biscuits. So
are you actually walking down while are you actually doing like a press check type of situation down there?
I'll go in and we'll talk about the colors and it's a lot of like, let's try to make this a little darker. It's been really nice. It's a world that like, I think, John, I don't know your kind of background with screen printing, but Mark, I feel like we're kind of in the same boat where you either get into gig posters from a printer angle or you come in from like the artist angle, right? So either you're a screen printer who then wants to make his own designs, or you're an illustrator or like a designer, graphic designer who has to figure out screen printing. And I came in from that one. I never printed my own stuff from day one. I have done printing, but like I've kind of fully given up the idea of wanting to print my own stuff. I've kind of like, my stuff is, I feel bad for my printers because my stuff has gotten so complicated with the amount of layering and transparencies that it would drive me crazy. You know, having that relationship with a screen printer is like really, really key. So being able to actually be in the shop a lot of the times and seeing that stuff and learning more about it. I mean, I've been in doing posters for 14 years, and like, you know, I've spent more time in a screen printing shop in the last 2 years than ever. So it's been cool. It's been nice.
How hands-on are you with your printer as your poster's being done?
I mean, you know, part of working with Monolith in Oakland, like I try to make my artwork as print ready as possible. So like, I'll do the separations, I'll do the you know, I'll do the trapping, I'll get it all ready. But then it was always like, you just hand it off, you give them the Pantone colors, and then you just kind of cross your fingers that it comes out nice. And most of the time I always did. And part of the early years was like him kicking my ass because it was all my fault. I was like, I didn't trap it enough, you know, and like I learned over a couple bad gigs that like how to get it right. So you know, I trust my new printer, Backside Press in Atlanta. It's one guy, Brandon, and he knows how to do it. He does a lot of methane stuff and Dave Matthews Band stuff. And it's kind of cool seeing like a one-man operation and just being in the thick of it. And you know, I'm in the house a lot and just being around the smell of ink and, you know, a shop. It's nice, you know?
Very cool.
Like a part of my industry that like I was hidden away from for a while, and I get to get some grease on my hands. So it's pretty good.
That's great. I'm a little jealous of that, though. I have done screen printing. I have been a printmaker. It was kind of my diversion from a graphic design education where I took screen printing classes and then joined print co-ops like after college. But my prints were always so sloppy and they always had problems. And the lessons that Monolith taught you, that you achieved, I mean, I'm still getting scolded, you know. I mean, it's always kind of finishing and then getting the job as good as I can, but sometimes that seems like an endless scale of precision where you can just be modifying the trap, something people hopefully won't see for honestly days, you know, especially when this work gets really detailed. And my stuff, you know, definitely has a texture to it. So sometimes that, you know, that trap is not an automated thing for me. You know, I can't fill shapes that easy or anything, you know, but it's crazy to think. I mean, I think Jay Ryan that still does like a lot of that stuff Ruby Lith or likes to, you know. I mean, people have just different versions of doing it, but mine is certainly working on trapping and never quite having enough time for what maybe my printer would ideally like, but they're very good and they do a good job with it. And, you know, I appreciate everyone at that print shop, and I would be scared to move, but there's sprouted a lot of really good screen printers across the nation that I don't think were there when we started. Yeah. What, 15 years ago or something? Or
I mean, the West Coast was what? There was Monolith, and then there was D&L, and then there was a couple other shops you probably try. You
the
try
Pearl
to get
Jam
into, and they
people down south, San Diego or something. But you know, there's just so much riding on these gig posters to get there on time. You're in between a lot of times the printer and the client. Sometimes you're not. And it's, you know, there's just so much communication, and there's just days where maybe stuff is happening, and as an artist, you need it to be happening, but you're not like calling and checking on things all the time. So for one, it's cool to be able to walk down and just check on things. Or I have a screen printer who, you know, has an artist eye, and the printers there have an artist eye, and that communicate with you, and you can trust them. But like in hiring screen printers across the country, and not to diss other screen printers, I've had some great experience with many, and we'll continue to hire many different screen printers. But I think there's just such a relationship that the smoothness of the process, you know, and the counting on each other and knowing what each other wants just becomes so important.
I mean, aside from the actual quality of the work, a big part of it is the ability to, you know, when I was living in Oakland, it was driving 10 minutes and going to sign 300 posters at the shop that it was printed at and boxed up immediately and sent out. It's like the ability to have that right there. And that, I mean, that saves a week of timing, you know? Whereas before it would be, literally before I found this printer, it would be, I'd have stuff shipped to me just to be signed and spend 4 days coming to me, sign it, spend, you know, 4 days going back to the West Coast. Like, it's insane.
So you were using Monolith a while after you moved there?
Initially, I had always kind of had half and half in South Carolina. Was another print shop I worked with, but finding somebody in Atlanta was a big deal for me. And like, you know, part of it was having I know, just having the relationship of like having the world of screen printing in my city, you know, and going to the shop and seeing other people's posters that they're printing, and I don't know, it being able, that was a key point of like getting a bit of a comfort zone here. So
just want to jump in and mention one thing. If anybody out here watching wants to ask our panelists some questions, use the chat button at the bottom of your screen, and we'll see if we can keep up with them.
Sure. I see the question about somebody had asked about Steve Sheff had asked about if I had printed, they saw a sneak peek of a big old nasty get down print. Was that printed at the new printer or before? That was at the new printer. So if you're seeing new stuff from me, it's most likely from this new shop backside.
Somebody asked, what is a trap? Maybe I can explain that really quickly. The most obvious way to explain it would be if you have a black line drawing of anything, just say it's a circle, and you've got a black line drawing of that, and you want the inside of it to be red. Basically what you have to do is you don't just make the shape that you want to be red, because if you're screen printing and the press moves just a little bit, there's going to be a white edge around there where those two things move a little bit. So what you have to do is tuck the red under the black a little bit, and the amount that it's tucked under there is a trap.
And I find in the Bay Area with Monolith Press, John, he may talk to you about this as well, but there's a lot of reasons the paper can move, things can shift. You're printing a lot of colors. Yeah. Sometimes one of the biggest reasons is moisture in the air, moisture in the ink, things stretching and contracting the paper. But you know, sometimes we're slightly changing jobs based on moisture in the air in the Bay Area because it's such a huge factor sometimes. So sometimes I find deep blue papers have more stretch sometimes. So I may choose to do something different during different times of year based on my experience over the past, you know, so many years of printing. But there's a lot of reasons things can shift and that you need to create a trap. It's not just registration problems by the printers. You know, sometimes it's paper, ink contracting, and sometimes it's, you know, my own sloppiness. You know, so you need to.
You wouldn't think moisture would be able to have that much of a difference, but if you think of an 18 by 24 poster, and say there's a line at the top that has to line up, and a line at the bottom that has to line up, that's like, you know, 17 inches apart, and you get a very small amount of paint change per like quarter inch, and that just adds up, and really makes a difference.
And it adds up as you know, I'm starting to love to print 9 colors, and I can, you know, kind of go through why I like to do that. But
is that your norm right now? 9 colors?
It is. It is. I think this print, this is a variant print of my recent timed edition, but this was a 9-color print. It was 9 colors to get everything I wanted done. And I got to be careful with those 9 colors to not put 9 colors of full ink over a lot of spots. Otherwise, I'm really, really messing with the paper. So, especially in a piece like this, where I did a scary thing in screen printing by just saturating ink on one side and kind of leaving it light on the other. So I used a lot of thick papers to accommodate for it because I knew, you know, that could make paper wave, that could create some problems. So try not to lay down a ton of ink on each other how I normally do in these really dense spots. It's a couple layers and a background layer. But normally one of my layers is a background layer, an underbase, so that I can print on these dark papers, and I can print on, you know, like a dark, well, I guess I don't have a good example here, but a dark and a light paper for the same print. So if I get an underbase down, then those inks won't just get crazy on the different colored papers.
I feel like that's something that, I mean, I've noticed with your work, Mark, is like you've really kind of gotten an eye for the paper aspect of it. Whereas like that's a whole aspect of posters that most people actually just like ignore, and including myself. Like I'm a base white, off white, and maybe I'll mix it up. But like you've really done for years, you've kind of experimented with, you know, like just different, not just different colored paper, but different textures, different kind of like elements worked in there. Where did that come from?
Well, liking color. I mean, liking to play with color. The screen printing is really exciting for me and scary, right? We prepare this file on our computer. Some of it's by hand. You know, here's my hand drawing of that, scanned in, colorized on the computer. I'm playing with different backgrounds on the computer. I'm changing ink colors on the computer. I'm really messing around, picking Pantones, dialing that all in and handing it off to the printer. But what I really like to do is hand that off to the printer in a flexible way and give him some different kind of inks, maybe switch inks, maybe switch papers, and try to let, like, you know, give it an underbase, give it some extra help so that it'll work as we're switching papers. And it's just so fun to see how they work out. And there's a lot of things I scrap, you know, especially back in the day. I mean, there's a lot of black variants that don't exist, that could have existed because I didn't quite have my underbase strong enough because the main edition was on another paper. But when I used to screen print on my own and do printmaking on my own, my editions were like my mini editions now, where I just bought like a ream of paper of all different stuff going to the art store, and I would do my screen prints on them. Multiple editions before I became a poster artist that I did on my own were like, I do an edition of 20, but they'd all be different colored papers. And I just, you know, I would like people to come pick out their print and like actually have a say in what they wanted, you know, pick out a difference. I experienced that just in those early days. So I don't know. I think I've always enjoyed just playing with the color of it. And I'm scared of white. I don't like printing on white. I like medium-based paper, mid-tones. I'm all about mid-tones. I mean, every time like a band wants to do a shirt with me or I'm pitching a color paper, it's like, I don't want black. I don't want white. I want, you know, just like something in between that we can play with.
Either of you guys like foil? Either of you guys foil guys? I don't. You haven't done like too many foils, right? Spusta?
Only when you convince me to on group projects.
That's right. Trips.
Yeah, it's fun to play with. It has fun effects, but it's not the art that has the effect unless you get really creative with it. Now, some people do get really creative with it where I'm like, oh, I love the way they use that foil. It shows through. Oh, nice. Well done, Trips crew, showing that right there. That one was fun for our poster. There's a lot of spots showing through. It gave it nice depth and weirdness. Whatever, it's fun sometimes. It's not my go-to. I'd rather pick.
Definitely gotten out of hand. I'll tell you, yeah, for sure.
Mark, someone asked if there are papers that you've stopped using because you didn't like the way they performed with the inks you like.
Well, there's papers we've had to stop using that we're investigating how to use again successfully. There's papers that have gone wrong that we've shelved for a while that like, okay, how do we do this? And, you know, so some papers, I've done a paper on like a real sandpaper diamond encrusted, it's really, they're called Miri sparkle foils, but it feels really rough. And it's just like a sprayed with this diamond sandpaper texture. The art sits really cool on it, but it has a really hard time screen printing on such a sandpaper texture. So, but things you can experiment with are like different squeegee. Squeegee would be how you pull the ink through the screens. Screen count, which would be like the mesh count, the holes that the ink is getting pulled through. There's all these adjustments you can make. So a lot of times I'm putting paper in a mini job to experiment with it for the first time and not asking my printer to try new things. It's like, hey, I'm putting in this paper. We're going to put it in with all the rest. Let's see how it comes out and adjust from there. Yeah, we're always kind of trying to adjust to get some of those papers back. And then there's just some papers that I've had rough time with as far as like finding defects. Like, why does an orange of this one paper always get lines through it? In that particular case, they discontinued the orange, maybe because it always got lines through it, but they're always discontinuing papers, adding new papers. It's not consistent. People try to like look at my work and collect all the same paper from the past 10 years. Well, I might not have bought it for 2 jobs. It may have been discontinued. They may have changed the pigment. It's not like the paper things are always changing. My paper company knows me well. When I call, I'm like, get a coffee. We're going to be talking for like 40 minutes. And I'm going to be ordering every paper you have and kind of stockpiling with my printer. And we're going to get into it. So I'm always exploring the papers.
John, what have you been working on? What are you drawing?
What I'm working on right now?
Yeah.
I'm just, I can show you real quick. I'm just doodling in a way. A couple of things.
Just masterfully doodling. Nice.
Can you see? Just sort of line quality type stuff. I could show you a poster now that I was talking about possibly letting go. Okay, I'm going to do one real quick. All right.
Sure. Can we do a giveaway?
Yeah, I'm going to build up to it. This is the one that I posted up to be given away. I don't know how close I can get to it. It's a Queens of the Stone Age from 2008. And this poster was like, it was right at the time of the Go With The Flow video that's black and red. You might remember the one with the I think it was like a 30s Ford pickup truck was kind of the central image of it. And also it's in Amsterdam, and Amsterdam is black and red too. So that worked out pretty well. I don't know if you can see, but in the background, maybe a little show better up here. Let's see. In the background is, I was in Amsterdam about a couple of years before that. And if you could see in the background, it's I put in a drawing that I did in a bar in Amsterdam in the background just to kind of fill it out and give it that whole feel. But anyway, that's what that is. And how are we handling the giveaways? Somebody can, okay, yeah. I think what's happening is if you type in +1 in the chat.
A couple of giveaways here. If you're interested in, we'll pull a name at random. Go to your chat feature and type in +1.
Yeah. And they will pick out somebody that has typed in +1, and they will get this poster in the mail.
There you go.
Great. Well, I'll jump in and do a giveaway, but I want to be sure not to confuse mine with John's.
Yeah, maybe give these +1s a minute to go through.
All right, cool. Maybe, yeah, mine will be maybe a different, maybe we could have a different number or something to make it.
I'll show something else real quick, just because foils came up, and you know, foils, a variant is a collector's item thing, pretty much mostly. And I've kind of enjoyed a few times doing a foil for a band that is absolutely not a band you should do a foil for, because there's not that market and it's kind of fun. And so I did one that I just happen to have right here for Big Business. And it just looks like a candy wrapper to me. I don't know, it's just so silly. Which camera am I? Okay, here. I don't know if you can even see the image, but it's like, let me try that other camera again. Oops. That's not it. Oh no, I'm on FaceTime. Okay.
Yeah, we got it.
Yeah, we got it right there. But anyway, it was just fun to do, and it also is a space between giveaways, so it works out in that way too.
If I had the word whores framed up on my wall that was like 1.5 feet across, I would definitely want it to be on like foil and just catch the light.
Yeah, yeah.
I love that you've been doing the blankets, John.
Yeah, you want to see a blanket? I'll throw one out.
Those are rad.
This was one of the things in early last spring. I was pumping a few of these out because they're really fun to have at festivals. Except the festivals went away, so I have a stock of blankets.
Hey, it's getting cold.
And this one, they're huge and they're woven. I found this place that does it with the old wooden looms and everything.
Whoa!
Wow, dude.
I've got like 3 different ones, but they're really cozy. They're really soft and cozy. Can you see it okay?
Oh yeah.
You got inventory of these, John? Like you're selling these?
Yeah. I have them on the site, but I mostly sell them at festivals. They're fun at festivals. Because people can touch them and everything. That's one thing about the 3D stuff I do too. That's so much better at festivals, because when you're running a booth with 3D stuff, you give people glasses and send them back to the 3D corner, and it's like a carnival ride. It's like you pull the big lever and they all go, whoa! It's really fun. It just turns it kind of into a party atmosphere.
I found, yeah, even having it at shows, I've never done a 3D poster, but the lenticular ones that basically just like emphasize colors, just having like a bunch of lenticular glasses at your booth, I feel like you just kind of get triple fold people just standing around staring at stuff, and they're like, it works on the red, not on the green. Red, look at the red.
Yeah, there's some of that. But with the anaglyphic, it doesn't. Nothing else looks 3D except what's 3D. Although people do wander around and look at other things, but it's mostly fun. And also, you know, there's one thing about it. It's a minor part of it, but when people put on the 3D glasses, they go into the poster and they stay there for a while. And you know, you spent a week and a half, 2 weeks making this, and so there's a lot in there. And it's kind of fun to know people aren't just like looking at the general thing and getting a general idea and moving on. They're stuck there for a minute and they have to live there for a minute. And that's kind of entertaining for everybody, I think.
John, what is the process of doing a 3D poster? Do you compose it?
Yeah.
3D, or is it just happy circumstance? Or
No. It's meticulous stuff. I can kind of give you a really quick idea of how the 3D works. It's with the red-blue glasses, which are these. I'm sure everybody knows red-blue glasses. And basically what you have, say you have a red dot here, and is this showing up? Yeah, and a blue dot here, okay? And you get your glasses on like this. This is blue, and this is red, okay? And with the glasses, oops, so I did that backwards. So I'm gonna flip this. This is wrong, but we'll flip the video. The red lens sees the blue dot, but doesn't see the red dot. So you've got, this eye sees that. And same this way, the blue sees the red as black, but the blue disappears. So this eye sees that way. And theoretically, the way it works is the dot appears to be where these lines cross off the surface of the paper, saying that's the surface of the paper. And that's the whole theory of it. It's as simple as that. But basically what you have to do is for each element in the picture, you have to make two versions of it, one with blue line work and one with red line work. And then as you want things further out and further in, you move these closer together or further away, which brings that dot in and out. And that's just the simple outline of how it works. But then you can imagine drawing each element of your poster separately, separating them like that to build. It's doing a 3D one probably takes about twice as long because you do the illustration and then you do basically collage to make it 3D. It's very, I enjoy the process, but it's very time consuming and it just puts you in another frame of mind. It's almost like when you go into a darkroom to make a print and you have to like think of everything backwards while you're in a darkroom. I don't know if you've done printing before, but there's something like that to it where you have to think of things in a different way, which is, it's interesting. It's fun to do.
Do you wear the glasses while you're doing it?
Yeah, actually, what I usually do is have them like this, half on and half off, and I'm going like this, checking stuff and working. Oh, you couldn't see that. Like half on and half off, so I can look and then look and then look. But it's fun.
But so you could take one feature and a piece of art and like play with it and make it float.
To an extent, I've done some of those for Secret Serpents. They've done a few 3D record covers, and even with other people's art, and I think there was some collage stuff going on too. You can do it to some extent. I've kind of learned enough how to do it that actually I've been able to do everything they've sent. So I guess, yeah, I guess so. You just have to cut things up and, you know, go through that process. Spectrum 3D glasses, clear lenses with some kind of go filament. Yes, I had. Those are the ones where the reds come forward and the cool colors go back. I have one poster that just happened to work for that, but I haven't done anything particularly for it. I think that, I guess you could just do something with a lot of the warm colors up front. But I like the meticulous thing over here. That's a little bit more fun to pick apart.
John, have you gotten hit up? I know besides Secret Serpents, but do bands contact you and ever say, hey, we saw you did this? Or is that like a crazy idea you bring to the band most often?
It's gone both ways. Actually, probably most often it's where I've worked with the band a couple of times and then they go, oh, you do 3D? Do one for us, you know? But it happens both ways. I usually don't push for 3D because these days I mostly do the 3D just for my art prints, unless they ask for it. They ask for it on, this one's 3D too. I wish it was more obvious. I mean, I wish you could see the 3D on the screen, but this one, it's like I learned something from every one. And as you can imagine with this process, everything that comes out has to be kind of in the middle of the picture, because if it's on the edge is going to pull it back right there, because you know what I mean? It's got to be out here if it's going to come out. But I learned on this one that you can draw the hands like that, where your mind is drawing the rest of the hands, and it totally works. These hands, if you have the glasses, come out like here, and so it can come out and not be on the corner. So it's like it's a learning process, and I learned something about it and try something different every time I do it. So it's still real interesting to me.
When you're selling those, are you shipping those with glasses?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Throwing 2 pairs with every one.
Nice.
It's a fun thing to do together. So I put in 2 glasses.
So a lot of times when I see posters, I can kind of see influence or kind of, you know, elements of other artists. It's a little harder with illustrators, but who are you guys into?
I could jump in quickly on that one. I was influenced from way early with, you know, when I was a kid. It was a small town, but it was a college town. There was a little head shop in my town, and I found the underground comics section and R. Crumb and, you know, Moscoso, and I mean he was a huge influence early on. So I got my brain bent on that stuff right away.
That's cool. I feel like coming from the Midwest, like a small town in Wisconsin, I just didn't see this like San Francisco psychedelic culture until later in my life. When I did see it, I became pretty obsessed, but it was actually like in my college years that I became, I think I got an art rock catalog. I tracked down one of those and just had it forever. For me, like being younger, it was almost like, you know, band covers were kind of what came to me, or skateboard art. And I collected skateboard art catalogs, and I'm such a poser. Like, I cannot skateboard at all. But I got really into the illustration. I just hadn't seen a lot of illustration like that.
There used to be a catalog you can get at the back of a Boys Life magazine that I used to get too.
Like for skateboard designs or something?
Yeah,
or?
there's just a catalog of decks that I was like, I have no interest in actually purchasing, but it's literally just a gallery. It's like gig posters, just a gallery of deck art that I was like, that's awesome.
But in college, I like gave a presentation on 60s psychedelic rock poster art, you know, and that's what I became really into. I mean, Rick Griffin was a huge influence on me when I found him around that time. And also around that time when I was kind of like discovering the artist I wanted to be, like juxtaposed with Mark Ryden and those artists. I don't know. I mean, even Shepard Fairey was kind of in that magazine a lot in the beginning. And that was just kind of a whole nother underground, surreal, detailed art that I got into. So yeah, it's like Dr. Seuss, Rick Griffin, and, you know, maybe some of those painters like Mark Ryden or a Dolly or something like that.
I mean, that's kind of the craziness of TRPS as an organization, is like all these people that you grew, I mean, Wes Wilson, all these people that you grew up kind of idolizing, the old 60s posters, you know, whenever they would do the show, at some point, there's a chance you might be sitting right next to Wes Wilson at a show. And like you have all these people you idolized in the same room as you, that you can just approach and talk to. And that was always the thing with TRPS for me. It was like, it was a poster show, but it was like the history of posters right in front of you.
Totally.
Totally. And
that.
like, you know, I've been lucky that it was been such a big part of my life for a long time out in the Bay Area. And like, I was able to meet a bunch of people, but just like, it's the only organization that kind of appreciates the original crews that made those posters, which is unfortunately that history is starting to dwindle a little bit. But, you know, that was always kind of like, you could talk to your idols. That was the thing. I sat next to Lee Conklin, and his wife offered me cookies. And it was a hot day, and I was like, this is crazy. And he had his Santana drawing in front of him, you know? It's insane. That's why I always appreciated that about TRPS. And like, it kind of set it apart from the rest of the kind of poster shows that I would do.
Well, we're lucky in that you know, it's the kind of show that can only be done in San Francisco because the old guys are still around.
Yeah.
Legacy has been there for, you know, 50 plus years. So we get to show it as a living legacy. And that's just the coolest thing about it, because you got, you know, posters from the 60s next to posters that the ink is barely dry on.
Dude, I have to show you, like, at TRPS, the high point of my career, basically. Did that come up? No. Oh, sorry about that.
Oh, cool.
Moscoso.
Yeah, Moscoso.
Yeah. Okay. I was just like, I can't believe that happened. My 15, 16-year-old self just like, you know, had a heart attack or something. I don't know.
He's the king of the 3D poster, all right.
What's that?
He's the king of the 3D poster.
Yeah,
I mean,
you can
Let's
see that influence.
Let's get a couple of announcements in here quick. One, Steve Schuff is our poster winner. Congratulations, Steve. Get a hold of us. Go to trips trps.org. trpsorg@gmail.com, and let us know you won the poster, and we'll see about how we're going to get that to you. So we can. The other announcement: Biden's taking the lead in Georgia.
hey, no shit.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Matt.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
You
Not
saved
by
the
much.
microphone.
Mark, you want to do another giveaway?
Yeah, I'll do something new. This is a new print. I drew this drawing really, really small, and I just decided to blow it up into these little prints. So this is the debut of this. It's actually an embellished one. I just called it Celebrate. It's just, that's all it is. But this one's a little embellished. It's a small little print.
Sweet.
It's a very small edition that I'll be selling at some point. But let's give this away. Marty, I'm going to have you conduct exactly how people should do that.
Yeah, just so they don't get mixed up. Go to your chat button and type in +2 if you want to win the Marq Spusta piece.
Here they come.
And here they come.
Yeah, all celebrations during this time are just kind of woohoo, you know? I mean, birthday parties and this experience we're going through right now and trying to celebrate together. I mean, everything comes with a grain of salt and not our fullest celebration. I think that's where that vibe came out. But it was just a small doodle that I just decided to make into a bigger print. I didn't make too many of them.
Nice. Yeah, the woohoos are a lot more fun if you're shoulder to shoulder with a couple of hundred people in a crowd with lights everywhere. But you have to, bring that with you to this.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I know one thing that we all kind of have in common that we've been doing during this COVID times are we've all kind of toyed with puzzles a little bit.
Yes.
I feel like that was kind of a natural transition for a lot of poster artists to kind of mess with. And some bands are actually promoting it, making their own puzzles and stuff like that. How's that worked out for you? I've done one, and I would say it's been 50-50. I didn't make the easiest puzzle. That's on me. I think I realized after the fact that like having gigantic borders that look exactly the same is not a great thing for puzzles. But I thought it was a cool kind of avenue, and I've bought a number of puzzles myself. How's that worked out for you guys?
Well, for me, thanks to you, I figure you pointed me in the right direction to get one made, but I was too late to get in before Christmas, so that project moved on to other medium, and I'm going to do another one later. But I just want to say I think it's brilliant that you guys are doing that, because it fits the situation everybody's in, where a puzzle is a nice thing to have, and it's also a way to have your art be there. And so I think that helps both sides. I thought that was a brilliant idea, whoever first had it, whenever that was.
Mark, you're doing the circular puzzles.
I did the one. This one's circular. Nice small box. I think it's a 19-inch circle. Record, like a record player. And it fits the design because, it's a circular thing. But Matt, I did what you did and designed the hardest puzzle ever. And I'm not a puzzle doer. So it was not what I wanted to do. But yeah, doing this and the pieces are just ever so slightly different, but not that different. So it's a challenge, and I was up till 2:30 or 3 in the morning building this puzzle, which my family said they would love to do. They couldn't finish it. I had to stay up and build it because I wanted to photograph it to sell it, and I was like planning on selling it. I always sell on Wednesdays, so I like that Wednesday deadline. But yeah, I was up till like 2:33 the night before I was gonna sell this, doing this thing. To photograph it, but people bought it really good.
That's the problem. You get a puzzle, you actually have to build it so you could take a product photo of it.
I know, it was a challenge. It was a challenge. But since then, I do have another puzzle in production in cooperation with a client, just a classic piece we've done in the past, and I'm kind of pitching that to a lot of people right now. Why not? And I love it for like album covers or band posters or something. Yeah. It's almost like you could go, all right, let's listen to this show from this poster from this date live while we do the puzzle or something. It seems like a really nice at-home kind of listening, hanging out experience. Even though I don't love doing puzzles, but that's just because I think I'm an artist and I'm doing stuff just kind of sitting there dink-a-dink doodling around all day. So it's not something I seek out, that or coloring, but both of those things have been, yeah, there's my wife and my son finishing the puzzle that I did.
It's like adapting a poster to an art print. It sometimes is a lot harder than you think. Like you pull out those words and you're trying to fit it in a certain space, and you realize like without those words, there's 50% dead space, or just kind of hopefully you're designing it with the words to kind of balance a lot of the artwork.
Right.
So when you pull that out and you're just like, oh, I'll make an art print, or I'll make a puzzle, I'll make a, some other kind of like swag out of this. A lot of times it doesn't work. So like combing through some of the old work, you're just like, ooh, wow, this is not going to translate well.
Especially for a puzzle where you really got to like think of,
yeah,
filling that space in a really nice way. And again, that's why I am kind of going to the bands and some of those projects. I almost feel some of the projects that have nice lettering and stuff would be fun to do as a puzzle versus even an art print with, especially like the one I did where there's a pattern-esque background, which I know the three of us all do work with a lot of kind of patterns and textures and kind of decorative elements going on. But like, I don't know, I'd like to kind of get in that foray with bands. I know Dead and Company and the Grateful Dead have been putting out some puzzles based on posters, and I think it's smart. I think they look like fun puzzles to do. And then again, you can kind of have that experience with like listening to the show and kind of doing the poster. And I think it's like a cool merch idea for bands and music.
Yeah. Do you have one of your puzzles nearby that you could show, Matt?
Yeah, I mean, if anything, we can do a puzzle giveaway. So the one that I did was
hold on, we'll announce the winner for the other one.
Sure.
The winner for Marq's piece is Kelly. Kelly, we don't have a last name for you, but congratulations. I'm sure we'll be finding out what your last name is. Hopefully there aren't two Kellys up here. Kelly, go to email us at trpsorg@gmail.com, and we'll see about getting you your prize.
Kelly
All
Brown.
right, Kelly Brown, congrats. And John, you won last time. John Howard and I did a little mini trip showing your posters in the mail. Don't worry, I saw you here as well.
Oh, I also have, if somebody has that link, I had I found a few other things that are basically sold out, but I pulled a few from my my stash and had a little link for those. They should be able to pop those up. There's like 3 or 4 and one each of those, and I put them on a real good price for the people who are showing up to our learning how to do it.
Go buy John's posters right now.
Go check out. John's got some great specials up there and pretty unique items just for tonight.
Oh, you got a link for that, right?
Yeah, there is one.
There you go.
Did it come up?
But yeah, we can do a giveaway for it's a 1,000-piece puzzle of a design that originally was a string cheese incident poster.
Great puzzle giveaway for today. That thing is just in your face. Democracy screaming at you.
Go Georgia, right? But yeah, it'll knock you on your ass. It's a hard one. And so the puzzle's up, and then I'll throw in, you know what? I'll throw in an official TRPS pin.
Sweet.
Done for the TRPS Atlanta show. You'll be an official TRPS Atlanta member because we had our first TRPS Atlanta show last year.
I should have went. I did not know there was going to be official pins. That might have got me there. I was on the fence. That would have flipped it.
That's nice. Very cool.
All right, so for the puzzle and pin package, type in +3, and we'll see what comes up here.
There they come.
There they come. Way cool.
Yeah, that was a big part. It was bringing part of that TRPS feeling over to Atlanta. I had to, I'm trying to get that connection over here. So
that was really fun. We had so many great people that normally don't come out to the West Coast, and I mean, you know, Jeff Wood and JT Lucchesi and oh my God.
Yeah, I mean,
Martin.
Part of the thing with doing shows, especially like doing trip shows, and you have the ability to meet all these people that you see every year, and it becomes like a family. But you see the same people, and like unless you're going to Flat Stock or these other kind of poster shows, you're not seeing everybody. So the cool thing with this was like it was all a fresh group of people. Some people had never done poster shows before, and they've been making posters for years. They just never had the venue to do it. And that's kind of like unfortunately, a part of the East Coast is like, other than Texas and California, there was not a big opportunity to do it. So, that was a big thing where trips were traditionally you're kind of a Bay Area focused group. We're seeing the expansion, the global, blow up of trips. So having a show in the South has been awesome. And
Matt, you were a big part of that, as far as the instigator to get that going. And also let's tip our hats to the people from Espresso Beans.
Sure. Yeah. Huge.
Who were just, a huge part of that, and great people and fun to work with. And to me, that's always been the best thing about trips and doing these shows is you just get to work with the best people. It's always fun.
Yeah, no, and having it at a brewery was a definite plus. That was awesome. But yeah, Spusta next year,
Yeah.
Get you out here.
Yep.
John, you got a place to stay.
Right on.
I miss everybody. I miss people. The coming out party you might all see me. Every state. Beautiful country.
Okay.
Marty.
Our winner is Sean Hazel for the poster, for the puzzle and pin package. Congratulations, Sean. If you have let's see there it is. Nice. Courtesy of Matt Leunig. So email us trpsorg@gmail.com and we'll get your prize.
Marty, can I jump in and get rid of one of these since I touched it?
If you insist.
Yeah, you run it. One of my puzzles. These are not available anymore. I don't have that many left. But somebody gets this that hasn't gotten it.
All right, want to call it +4? All right.
All right.
That button, hit +4. You get a Marq.
Giving them away. We must be crazy.
do it quick before they regain their sanity.
There you go.
They're all high on Georgia electoral. Yeah.
So I don't know how we're doing on timing. I kind of pulled some posters from each of you guys that I kind of was some of my top faves.
I did the same for you guys. I just don't know if they're at hand and ready to show. But yeah, let's talk about each other.
Yeah.
John, I mean, you've hit up. You're the only person I know who've done like posters for bands that I've never seen other Royal Trucks posters.
I've got two.
which is like you've done, especially the one with the hair and the glasses. Like that's the perfect Royal Trucks poster.
Yeah.
But you did an Acid Mothers poster in 2012. That was I think the North American tour poster, and there was a melty dude holding kind of a sphere of a sphere-like design. I mean, obviously, without the visuals, it doesn't do it justice. But
with the woman in the bubble.
There's the key. It's the key for me was the colors. Like you went through this whole phase where I felt like like looking back, you know, kind of looking at your old posters. Your early posters are I don't want to say drab, but they're very earth tony, and then you just went straight fluorescent. Like you did a harsh shift.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, it's funny. The first two Acid Mothers posters I did were they were on kind of an army green paper. They were like psychedelic, but they were real subtle. And they actually asked, could you do more color? And that just kind of opened the floodgates for me. So it was by special request. But yeah, good eye. I barely have that kind of depth of knowledge of my own stuff. I appreciate that.
Oh, John, did you get that link up for people to take a look at the posters you've put up for tonight?
Yeah, it's up it's kind of up the chat right now, but it's there.
Okay, good.
And Mark, the one I pulled out for you, which always kind of has been one that I've always loved, is you did a fish poster in 2010 or so. It was all the little squids.
Yeah.
The boat.
Yeah.
It's like the amount of detail on that is insane. I mean,
yeah, thank you.
I mean, let alone the amount of trapping and all that kind of behind the scenes, kind of setting up the print. But like the amount of detail is insane. The layout is just like, I don't know. It's gorgeous.
Thank you. Thank you. I will say, just for a fun anecdote on that poster, Fish art direction probably saved my ass on that one. There was some things in there that were looking a little more phallic than one would have intended as an artist. So I'm glad it came out the way it did. And that one's one people always think I like attempted to do all these variants within Fish's non-variant rule. That is, it's kind of a funny theory that I like that there is like theories about this stuff. But that is a case of me actually printing that color border, I think with 3 different ink colors. And thus it kind of like changed as the transparency of the blue on the red on the backing was kind of changing. So there was like this vacillation in the way those transparent inks kind of affected each other. And it made it even more the case because it was this big solid that like went all the way around the poster. And as you guys know, I mean, you can hide everything if you don't have solids, but when you have like solids, you know, you see imperfections in the squeegees and things like that, things like, you know, from the printer's end. So that gives me a chance to tell that story and maybe clear that up. So thank you, Matt. I don't know if they have the posters I picked for you guys, but I did pick out some to talk about. Matt, for you, I had a Widespread Panic. I think they were playing somewhere. They didn't play like that Sweetwater Fest or what Georgia Fest did they play? Where you have the peaches in the corner.
Oh, that they played 420 Fest, which is the Sweetwater last year, and I did the 420 Fest poster, and then I did their poster, which was a double dip, which was cool.
That is cool. Yeah, so you kind of own that festival.
which was cool because it was I think it was the first time I was talking to them about kind of like bringing back the Note Eater, which is their kind of famous logo, and it was like my attempt to kind of like flesh it out, because it's really just like a flat 2D kind of character. And they had sent me like a comic strip that it had come from, and kind of the whole kind of background with it. And like, I don't know, it's kind of like an iconic thing for them. So it just kind of like disappeared for a long time. So I tried to kind of do my 3D spin on it and how it kind of worked out.
I love it because, you know, we've both worked for Panic a lot, and they leave a lot of room to do a lot of creative things. So much so, in fact, that sometimes maybe we get away from like a core band look or iconography that is maybe more apparent in other bands like the Black Crowes or Pigeons Playing Ping Pong or the Dead or something like that. And I just love what you did with that kind of very simple character of theirs that was kind of in the past, and you know, you were the first to kind of bring him and flesh him out, and you kind of did it in multiple levels with that note sitting there and inside the mouth, and then pulling the Georgia Peaches back in and stuff. It's I love that poster. I just thought you like nailed the concept and nailed the execution. It was nicely done.
Yeah, I mean, the corner is actually the original Note Eater, kind of how.
Oh yeah, there he is. Yeah,
how he kind of looked originally. I was able to work with them and kind of bring it back again on a coffee that they did. And I don't know, I dig it. Now I've drawn it so many times that I'm like, you know, I don't want every Panic poster of mine to be a Note Eater, but like, I like him now. He's kind of like, he's a cool character. Yeah, thanks, Mark.
Yeah, great. It's a great one. Cool to hear about how the band took it as well, just in working with them, and you know, that they like took the concept literally and kind of like wanted to show you the original part of the logo, that they cared about it. It kind of
cool. I didn't know the story behind it. There's like a comic strip of it chasing notes, and it's very crudely drawn. It's really cool. And
nice.
Yeah.
John Howard, I picked a poster of yours just to talk about. If it goes up, it's the Earthless poster from Oakland, like 5 or 6 years ago. There it is. Yeah, this one just has like your classic color. It feels 3D. I don't think it is. You know, just the kind of Moscoso-esque kind of just harsh color transitions. Super psychedelic to look at. I do love this poster, and you know, it has cool text, cool imagery, lots of different dimensions to kind of fall into. And then I also was curious if you like went to the show. Earthless is a great band, kind of a power trio of just onslaught rock. And I've seen them for different times. They opened up for Dinosaur Jr. when I was doing stuff with them.
I was at that show.
Yeah.
I love Earthless, but I didn't go to that show because I was the day that show was, I was on my way to Desert Days, and I saw them play the next night at Desert Days. So I was able to hand off the posters and then catch them the next night, or it might have been the second night after that. But yeah, they're fantastic. They just got a cut on, and there's a new double album of Black Sabbath covers that they're on, and that was kind of filled out my Halloween night is enjoying that album.
Oh, nice! I gotta check that out. That sounds cool.
Yeah,
John, did you know like Isaiah from that band was supposed to be the Black Crowes guitarist for this tour that's not happening?
No, I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah, it's kind of wild.
That would have been pretty crazy.
But he can play everything. He can play absolutely everything. I mean, I thought he was more of a thrasher, and then I saw him in some more acoustic settings, and you know, he was an added guitarist for Howling Rain for a tour or two there, and they had a little more acoustic sound from time to time. Not a lot, but he could take it any direction. But that band, that's a great band to like work to. If anyone wants to clean the garage, we all do art to it, I'm sure. But like they're like motivational, just head nodding rock and roll.
I had my bike stolen at an Earthless show, and upon leaving, I could care less. It was one of those. Like, well, you know what? It's all right.
That's awesome.
Hey, Mark, we got a winner for your puzzle.
Right?
Joseph Robertson. Joseph,
That name sounds familiar. That'll be good. I probably have his address.
if you're there, Joseph, text us. You got or email us rather, trpsorg@gmail.com. Congratulations.
Very cool. Sorry, I missed the memo on having a couple of pieces of you guys to talk about. I wish I was prepared for that, and I don't want to fake it, but I get to do this again. I love that aspect, and I missed that. I'm sorry.
Sorry to catch you off guard.
No, it's all good. I love it. I love the idea.
Yeah, great. Yeah, I definitely had to go on your website and look. So I don't think I could have pulled one out unless it was behind your head. So
yeah, right.
I mean, I haven't seen you guys. You know, we're not seeing as many posters. I mean, I all you guys have been doing artwork this year and stuff, but it's certainly not. You know, we're not going to trips where I've recently seen all your posters, and I'm kind of like familiarizing with your work for the year. I mean, we see each other on social media and stuff, but it's different now.
Totally, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's hard to take like, a history of what you kind of know of someone's work. It kind of merges into a feeling or an idea of what their work is. And it's hard to go this one without looking at them,
It is. It is. I can think of characters of yours, John, and I could talk about those characters, but I don't know what poster they're on necessarily or whatever. So,
yeah.
Without saying any names, do you guys have gig posters specifically in the works? Have you found like gig poster music related stuff like in the works?
I have turned down most gig poster opportunities. I am not even really sure how to deal with deadlines during this pandemic with my kids kind of around all the time. And I don't really need the gig posters as much. I haven't been doing as many gig posters previous to the slowdown. So when I've gotten a lot of offers, and I'm just kind of pitching other poster artists at this point. And truthfully, gosh, I don't quite want to say this in full, but like, to me, I just want to save some of my poster work for when we're really celebrating together. I mean, I really like everything that everybody's doing to push making art and bands making art and including the community and still making posters and everything. But it also feels like a time for me where maybe I feel less pressure to do it. One thing, and I know I've done a couple of giveaways, but we can give this away, Marty. But this is the print I did with Panic when you did the poster, and this was for a single, a little smaller in scale. There's the edition Widespread Panic sold on your screen, but I'll do a giveaway for one of my art prints. So this was maybe the last kind of gig poster-esque project I probably did for the year. Marty, I'll let you take a break and give that away and then pass that question back.
All right. Punch in +5.
But Matt, you have seemed to have really found, or the bands have found you that have wanted to do stuff. I've seen, how many posters have you done this year?
A lot of the stuff, I mean, I was doing posters not necessarily show related. So like I did the first show poster I did in a while was the Disco Biscuits last weekend. And then the Panic one was kind of for a forgotten tour. But I was doing poster stuff for Jerry Garcia Estate, for like some cannabis packaging. I know, John, you did that too. all these different avenues that were looking to do posters that I did. I mean, I did posters for Panic coffee packaging, you know, like not necessarily show related. So I've luckily been able to kind of like find that COVID didn't knock me out too much in some of the avenues I'd kind of been working in. So, but yeah, moving forward, I feel like I've been hit up by bands a lot in the last 2 weeks.
And are they coming? They're coming up with maybe new ideas for next year. I mean, they're kind of looking at, you know, how to.
I mean, some of them are the drive-in angle. It's, you know, it's like bands are figuring out their lane a little bit. Mm-hmm. It's the drive-in angle, and like some of them are just doing straight up band merch, not tied to an event, which I always thought was smart. I mean, you know, I always had like some band poster on my wall that had, you know, it was like a crappy mall poster, but like had nothing to do with a show I went to because I was too young to go to a show. But I had, you know, like a Led Zeppelin poster or whatever it was. And making one of those as a screen print even makes it even more special. So I'm surprised bands haven't really kind of like just done generalized merch more. I mean, that was always the t-shirt game. Why not a poster game? But yeah, I mean, I've been doing kind of like really random illustration work, which has been really nice. And most of the clients that come to me kind of want that poster look. So it's not a stretch. It's like,
yeah,
you know, they come to me because they're like, I make tea, but I want psychedelic tea, you know? So it's fun. It's still in my wheelhouse.
Yeah, I tried to start an illustration graphic design career before the poster things. And I don't know, once I got 6-7 posters under my belt, the way people hired me as an illustrator completely changed. I no longer had to be a jack of all trades. I suddenly got to be that psychedelic young kid from San Francisco, you know, with weird characters. But I was hired multiple times as like a Trips Fillmore poster psychedelic artist for certain projects. One of them was, this was a long time ago. You might even remember this, Matt, but I worked for like Sack Roots and designed like purses, umbrellas, and backpacks and shoes with like a woman's apparel design brand. But that is absolutely how they came to me. Like, we want to get psychedelic. And, you know, they really forced their hand in that design. So I had to write peace and love, and somehow fairies and unicorns were all part of the psychedelic experience for them.
That's good.
But like, yeah, but like finding that niche of being like the poster artist that can be hired for illustration, you know, even Stanley Mouse certainly experiences that like on a really high level.
That's a key moment when you're a freelance artist, is when you go beyond the, hey, we love your posters, can you make a website? Or like, hey, we love your psychedelic artwork, we want you to make a simplistic logo for our dental, you know, office. And you're just like, the people are coming to you being like, we want that. Like they're hiring you for that. And like, you don't have to worry about that whole aspect. That's like a key shift in a freelance career.
It goes back to what sort of advice that I've gotten and given to young artists. It goes along with that to some extent. And you can't exactly do this, but have in your head that what you do becomes who you are. And if you take jobs that you don't want, you're going to be the guy that does those jobs. So you've got to stick to your guns to some degree. You know, you don't want to be a jerk about anything, but honestly, if what you're doing is what you want to do, you're going to do it a lot better than someone else, or if it's something you don't want. So, you know, to the extent you can, kids, stick to your guns on that stuff.
Yeah.
Also, one thing that's good about this is, rather than a trip show or whatever, is that the flat files they're accessible to the artist at the time. And you guys inspired me to give one more thing away, so I ran back there and got one of these. This is a 3D one this time, and it's an the Octopus's Garden. I don't know if you can see it so good. Oh, let me go to the other camera. It was done for the Beatlemania Museum in Hamburg, Germany. And it is, oops, let me get this where I can see it.
Is this one also available for sale, John? This is pretty sweet.
This one is still available for sale. And it's got a lot of little Beatles references in there. I'll show you one that nobody ever sees until I point it out. But if you look right here, Ringo has always got the peace sign or a dove. And if you look right here on this tentacle of the octopus, oh, I'm getting some green.
Yeah, you're green screening.
Got the green screen.
Does that come with the poster?
Yeah, it should, but no, it doesn't. Let me get rid of that real quick.
Well, there should be a little floating jellyfish in that poster, right?
There should be, but now there's not.
That's awesome, man.
You got to see it a little bit better. And that's the dove right there.
Peace and love, peace and love.
Yeah, so this was number whatever. Let's let her roll.
Yeah, hit the chat. Punch in number 6 for this very cool Octopus's Garden.
With 2
That's great, John.
glasses with it.
By the way, we've got a winner on Mark's puzzle giveaway there. Chad Grill.
I think it was my panic print was the last one I
Oh,
did.
so the last one was a panic print. That's right. Sorry for my mistake. Chad Grill. Chad,
Oh,
in there with us.
that's great. Chad's a good man. I think he is involved in booking a venue or something. So he's feeling the pandemic, from what I remember.
Well, how long before we give away everything on those grids?
Well, I
Let's
don't want to go
keep it
too
warm.
close to John's, but I got one last thing we can give away.
All right.
I pulled. Are we ready for another giveaway, for a last giveaway, or what do you think, Marty?
We sure had plenty of. Now that was +6, right?
Somebody's already put +7. Whatever
Somebody's
you're
already got
giving away,
+7.
Yeah, right. Now,
they
Okay,
figured out your system.
Yeah, people are already running the red light on this one.
We're being hacked.
We're being hacked. Okay, what's go ahead and put it up. We'll figure it out.
I pulled the 9 Inch Nails poster
Oh yeah.
that I did. That is not for sale. It's a specialty item that was pulled by the band. So you get an item not for sale. It was a promoter print. That was the one time I've worked with a promoter where it didn't work out in the end. The posters were printed. They were at the show, but a week later, they were not for sale. So that is the giveaway.
That's cool.
So you're giving away a super rare 9 Inch Nails.
Yes.
I like how you said it was pulled by the band, so it could either mean they printed it or
The band, Trent Reznor, pulled it himself.
Okay.
No, I mean, that's kind of part of the, we've all kind of done like promoter prints and part of the, sometimes part of the job is that you hope that the homework has been done to
Yes.
before you do the work. And in some cases it's not. So it was a full print run where the print was made and it was out there, but I'm not allowed to sell them.
oh Matt,
So
they're saying
you can have one.
They
Matt,
need
can you
wanted to
show
look
that
at it.
poster?
Sure.
Get it up closer. The detail was harder to see.
It is a kind of like, I'm usually kind of in the psychedelic world, so it was my first foray, not my first, but a foray into more of a darker industrial style. Plus, it was Jesus and Mary Chain, which is pretty rad. So,
What year was that?
it was the Bill Graham Civic in 2018, so 2 years ago.
If you want the super cool 9-inch nails from Matt Leunig, how about we type in TRPS?
Haha.
Ooh, all you plus sevens.
that
Just
happen.
All you plus sevens. Gotcha.
You're not bombing our Zoom.
Oh, now there we go.
There they come. Very cool. I've got a little print. I don't know if this is going to show up or not, but I've got a little printout of one that I've got it pressed right now. It's an art print. I don't know if that's going to show up at all or not, but it's an art print.
Cat Moon.
Yeah, it says Cat of the Moon. And it's kind of about a kitty cat I had once. And you know what else? In making this, there were like a bunch of different versions. Since it's an art print, I could go a lot of different directions, and I was taking my time on it. Kind of like Mark said earlier, where it's kind of hard to have a focus for a week and a half or 2 weeks on one piece. And so on this one, I just like kept coming back to it in between other things. And there were so many versions of it, I ended up making a little animated GIF of the different versions. And so it kind of turns out that this is a movie poster for a 3-second GIF that's on my Instagram.
Is that the next foray for poster artists? We're just all gonna get into animation, or is that too much? I mean, I feel like that's the opposite of why I got into poster artists. I actually dipped my toes in animation, and then I was like, I'm drawing the same thing a million times, like a crappy version of it.
Right.
I'd much rather spend all my time on one drawing.
That's why I haven't even touched another children's book. Here's the one I did. This thing's 20 years old. But I just got sick of drawing these characters, same characters over and over. And this isn't psychedelic or anything, all that. But you know, it's a kid's book about ocean pollution. I was just kind of like, I don't want to do that anymore. I want to do one image where like all, you know, you can just kind of fall into that one image. That one image tells the story. And what's like gig posters,
Yeah.
you know, you mix that image with band folklore and band, you know, their lyrics and their music and the aesthetic and the culture, and that gets tied in with the art. Then you like pack so much into one image, and an image. I mean, I like books, I like comics, I like animation, I like movies, I like all those long-winded storytelling mediums. But I love being a poster artist. I love making single prints. I loved The Far Side growing up. That was like a big influence. Just like Gary Larson, one panel, I'm telling you a joke, it's half visual, you're done, move on. Or you can, you know, with a poster, you can engage in it for a long time. But I love that idea that you're doing that one snippet of that one thing. Maybe we're jamming a lot in, maybe you're showing a couple different realities in one space, but you're still, it's about one image and what you can kind of process out of that, except for the times when maybe we start to do, you know, multiple posters and maybe explore a little bit of a storyline of characters like you're doing with the Note Eater or something like that's always fun. But animation, man, that sounds exhausting.
Well, check it out. This is that animation. It's not exactly an animation. It's more like a. Does that show up? Oh, wait, here, share.
Yeah, like
it's more like it's almost
oh,
like
yeah.
a picture. They have movement in it.
Cool, man. It's like a.
It feels like an animated poster, kind of.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, it is. It's different versions of that one print that. Did I get off of it? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Just basically different versions of that one print that fit together.
Are you going to make all the different versions of the print, or are you just kind of having it out in that digital form?
No, yeah. This is the poster. This is
Okay.
the print that I decided to be, and those were variants basically all stuck together. But yeah, I agree as far as that. In fact, that's why I did early on. I did some comics, and that you run into the same thing there, where um, if traditionally you're drawing the same character over and over and over and over, but I did obviously I didn't do it that way. I did much more abstract stuff.
Well,
And
yeah,
I want to have the same thing. I want it to be one picture, even if it's broken up into panels. It's still, one thing.
well, you're influenced by the underground comics too, and they totally tried to blow open that whole idea, of needing the storyline, sequential characters, dialogue. I mean,
definitely.
By the end,
out there, you had free reign to do what you want with that stuff.
yeah, it often seemed like so many of those strips, like they start out kind of sober, and then by the end, it's all just melting and crazy.
Yeah. You feel like you've taken a hit of something with the guy drawing it.
Yes.
I mean, I feel like that's kind of what we were talking about. It's like I used to do comics early on too, and it was you're just working on the same idea for so long, and it's really great when you start, and then after a week you're like, this is the stupidest thing. Why am I doing this? And the best I can hope for is somebody looks at it and goes like this, And it's like that. Those underground comics, it's like they probably just got so bored that they're just like, fuck it, like, and just blew it up.
Yeah.
I don't know, but at the same time, I look at the amount of work that I put into a poster, and then I, go to the, comic shop and I pick up, anything like a comic of Captain America or Hulk or something like that, and you look at the amount of work that's on every page for 24 pages, and it's put out every month, the amount of drawing and stuff like that, and you're just like, oh my God. And that's for sale for $3 or $4 or whatever it is. That's insane.
Yeah,
it's insane. And a lot of times we're using, similar techniques. I mean, pen and ink. I mean, we're trying to play with more color and stuff, and sometimes they're a little more dark light, strong shadow, action. But man, those illustrators, I marvel at them. I go to Comic Cons and I look around and I'm like, I'm so glad I found gig posters so people know who I am. Because otherwise, I don't know if people, otherwise it's a struggle. But I feel like this, aligning with bands and the movement and being out there with different musical genres is certainly, and trips and all that stuff has like, given me the career I've always dreamed of. But yeah, I go to Comic Cons or I look at comic book artists or magma artists or how many there is or how saturated some of those markets are. And I'm thankful to when people are looking for that psychedelic San Francisco artist. I'm one of 30 guys here, but I mean, you're the only guy in Georgia or Atlanta, or one of. I mean, we are kind of a unique breed still.
If you need a psychedelic artist in driving distance.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that was part of it, is like we all kind of started in the same area. Mark, I know you and I kind of started around the same time, and like that was a part of the deal. I mean, so there was the pluses and minuses. Like I was thinking about, it's probably changed now, but being starting to be a poster artist in the Bay Area in 2005 or 2006, like it was the only place I could imagine I would be able to make a career out of it. San Francisco kind of had a history of it, but also the venues and the bands kind of knew what you're talking about, and it was you were able to do it. And the minus was that there were also 30 other dudes doing it. So when that one gig came in, you're all kind of like, you all knew each other, but you're all like, I want it. And then you're like, oh, Mark got it, or somebody got it. And that was part of the fun of it.
Yeah, it was fun to be friends with you. I mean, it's like we would play basketball together on Saturday, and then on Monday, see which one of us got that job opportunity because
Black Keys gig or the whatever gig.
Yeah, I mean, you and I are like, I mean, if you're gonna hire a cartoony psychedelic artist, we're kind of two of the guys you're gonna go to. I mean, we really do there is a lot of commonalities between our styles. So yeah, that was always fun. I'm glad we're still friends after wanting certain gigs.
Business rivals.
Well, it was like Gnarls Barkley, Flaming Lips, New Year's Eve. That's the one I really wanted that you got. And
you got a Black Keys that I really wanted.
Oh, I have a print called Inspired by Life that a lot of people really like. And I drew that as a concept for that Flaming Lips Gnarls Barkley. Wasn't it Flaming Lips Gnarls Barkley New Year's Eve or something?
Yeah, 2006.
You did a fabulous poster. I mean, when I saw your poster, I was like, I like that they picked that. That's great. If I wouldn't have liked your poster, maybe I would have been a little bitter. But I really liked it.
Man, when I started, I had no idea what was going on. I did stuff like one time there was a Melvin show at Slim's, and so I did 11 by 17 poster of it and printed out a whole bunch of them. And then after the show, as people were coming out, I just started giving them away. I didn't know what I was doing. I just knew I wanted to do something like this. And man, I just got mobbed. And it was great. It gave me like a real kick in the butt to want to like take it to the next step somehow or something. But I was just out there. I didn't know really. I knew the posters from seeing them as a kid and growing up and everything, but I knew nothing about the poster scene. But it was cool. It was very, very interesting and fun to just figure it out, like with no help, kind of just trying to figure out. And that's still what I do, just try to figure out what'll work and and work.
John, did you kind of start working with like the San Francisco clubs, like a Slims or something? Is that kind of how?
No, we mentioned stuff like that in the green room the other night. The green room, right? And I actually pulled out. This is my first poster over here. I pulled one of them out, and it was for the Breeders, the Blues Explosion, the Faith Healers at the Warfield. And this was in '94.
Wow!
And when I did this one, I mentioned you guys before, but I was on. Up until that time, I'd been working at just sort of at art store type jobs. I basically continued what I was doing in college, except instead of having college and working a job on the side, I had life and making art and doing experimenting with stuff. I was doing all kinds of stuff. I was into noise stuff. Like I had all these like microphones I bought at the flea market and like making noise with them. I was just doing all kinds of crazy stuff.
Can we get a little better visual of that, John? Can we see that a little better?
The poster or the?
Yeah, the poster.
Yeah. Let me switch cameras again. Sorry, I'm not quite.
Like dashboard.
I got a new camera and I have not got everything completely figured out, but that's it. And I sent the person. I knew a person that says Guided by Voices on the 8-track. That Kim Deal asked me to put that on there. I didn't. That's where I first heard of Guided by Voices. They were pushing before they were much of anything going on. I got to do a bunch of Guided by Voices posters later. But anyway, on this poster, let me tell it really quick. My friend knew the person that was the tour manager, and so I got in touch with him. And in those days, I faxed him some drawings, right? And he gave them to Kim, and she picked one out. And I was just like floored that this was even happening. And I didn't really know what to do on the other end, but I helped print it with a guy in Berkeley. We printed them together. And I went to the show and had this stack of posters, and I didn't know what the hell to do with them, And so I'm sitting out front on one of those round things in front of the Warfield, those round concrete things, with my posters, and I was like too shy to be putting them out there. I just sort of had one sitting there, and if you happen to walk by and look at it and figure out what the hell it was, I mean, there was just no way anybody was going to buy one the way I was doing it. But I sold one, okay? This young guy came up and bought one, and then I went to the show, and when I got in the show, the Blues Explosion started on the stage and getting things ready. And I looked down, and I realized the one guy that bought a poster was Judah Bauer, the guitarist for the Blues Explosion, and I didn't even recognize him. And he had the poster in his hand on stage, and he's showing it to John Spencer, Spencer's just looking he's just looking at it like, what the hell is this? And he looked at it for like a count of 5 or something, and then he threw it on the ground and played the first chord of the song, and they did the show. And that was like so cool. That was like the other high point of my career right there. And it was cool. They invited me backstage, and I got to meet everybody, smoked pot with Kim a little bit, and also learned while I was back there that Warfield was a Fillmore, part of the Fillmore, who really were tight about their posters. So the happy ending on that is I went the next day to BGP, turned myself in as a bootlegger, and they hired me to start doing some posters there. And
that is so cool. You turn yourself in as a bootlegger?
Yeah.
It kind of sounded like I did these and I didn't really know.
Yeah, and that's just I was stuck being a poster artist then. It was just like too destined.
John, it's crazy. So that early poster of yours, oh gosh, there's that Flaming Lips one I was talking about. That's not a screen print, and your Fillmore stuff wasn't a screen print, but it has such a screen print aesthetic.
This one is a screen print, but
that first one is. Yeah. Okay.
I was into that aesthetic already and the way of working, because before I did posters, I did a lot of stuff like flyers and stuff like that. And back in those days, without computers, I mean, I was cutting Rubylith for flyers and getting stats and then making copies from that. So I was pretty well along with working in this way before I ever did.
I feel like we all went the Fillmore route, and like,
yeah,
you know, I think part of the appeal of that was, I mean, that was always the dream, was like, oh, doing a poster for the Fillmore, and like the moment where you're leaving the venue and everybody has your poster and you're watching people get your poster in their hand. It's different when people are like buying it from you, or you're watching them buy it from the merch booth. But like you're standing outside the venue and just hordes of people are walking out holding your poster. That I remember that moment. I forget. I think I did an Animal Collective poster, and I was riding the bus home after the show, and it was like people had just crammed into the bus, and the whole back of the bus had the poster, and they were talking about it or looking at it, showing it to someone. And I was like, shit, I was just sitting at my desk for like 3 days drawing that or whatever, like a week and a half ago or however it was. And that moment where you're just like, oh, this job's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I did not make my first 5 or 6 Fillmore shows. I was living, maybe it wasn't that many, but I would call in to people and just be like, what are people saying? You know, just put it on speakerphone. I want to hear some reactions or something. But yeah, once I got to experience that, it is a very, very neat thing, because people are feeling great coming out of the show.
Yeah.
It's like the best time to buy merch, and you know, that's when the line's the longest. Everybody, you know, wants that feeling and to take it with them. And I love that Animal Collective poster. I know the one. It's a classic.
See, Loretta's giving a shout out to Arlene, so I guess that is definitely a proper shout out. Arlene Fillmore for making that stuff happen.
Well, guys, should we
start? A long one, huh?
Bring this thing? Yeah, we're closing in on 2 hours here.
Holy cannoli!
Well, you still have some great stories and some posters left. You know, this was fun. We should pick this up another time.
Yeah, episode 3. I loved it. We hang out, you know. We could do this anyway, but it's nice.
Well, there he is. A couple of winners to announce. The Octopus's Garden poster, Ryan Palco. And on Matt's 9 Inch Nails posters, drum roll, Brian Gable. So guys, Ryan Palco, Brian Gable, shoot us a message, trpsorg@gmail.com. We'll see about getting you your prizes. That's some cool stuff. You guys broke out some good stuff tonight.
Hey man,
yeah, it's fun. It's great I love that people are interested to come and check it out and everything. And I want to I want them to be happy they did. So
Yeah, you got to get the good stuff. You got to be you got to be watching it live to get the good stuff.
Hey, the good stuff is you know is having a night to hang out with you guys. This was really great.
absolutely.
Well, you know, I don't get to do this at trips so much. I mean, I try to leave my booth for like an hour or so and go see, but I'm usually seeing like, okay, David Welker came this year. I want to see him. I want to see Eric Roper. I want to see, you know, and I always want to catch up with Matt when he comes back. So this is actually cool. I feel like this is something, if Trips was 2 days, the second day would just be us artists kind of sitting around talking as they do at Comic-Cons and stuff with panels and stuff. And I feel like that's what we've kind of been missing in the past. Yeah. So this has been fun, and I look forward to, I hope we can get some of the legends on here and hear their stories. We're all drooling and jonesing for those, the classics. And
we've got tons of ideas. We've actually got a couple of real interesting things in you know, lined up. We're gonna keep doing this Mystery Tube thing as a series, and if we can't all get together in person, we're gonna keep doing stuff like this.
That's great.
Yes. I agree with Mark too. It's like we see each other fairly often at Trips shows, but yeah. even when you go around to say hi to people, they're busy too, and so you basically can say hi, you know, over whoever they're talking to. So this is totally cool.
It goes so fast. I mean, you know, people you see once a year are there and gone, and you've barely had a chance to hang out with them at all. So yeah, this is good. I like it.
Hi to all the people that have been commenting, seeing lots of familiar names, and miss all you people in person, but we see your names. It's good to see you guys here.
Thanks everybody. Oh, and one more thing. If you are not a TRPS member, please go to TRPS .org or trips at org. Yeah. TRPS.org. Check us out. Become a member if you're not. If you are a lapsed member, you need to renew. Check us out there. We've got a lot of cool swag, cool T-shirts. Support what we're doing. Help us out. We work for the artists, and anything we do hopefully benefits, you know, guys like our panelists here tonight. And we're just we're doing this because we love it, and we're going to keep doing it. So watch for more of these and check us out.
Cheers.
Cool. Thanks to the audience. They can't clap, but thanks to the audience. Yeah.
Cheers.
Thanks, everybody.
Miss you guys.
All right, guys. We'll talk soon.
Okay.